Good afternoon. I'm pleased to declare the 2017 commencement for the Quinnipiac University Frank H. Neder, MD, School of Medicine officially open. Would you please stand for the invocation, which will be delivered by Reverend Jordan Lenihan, Catholic chaplain.
I would invite you now to please bow your heads. We are gathered now to celebrate success, to recognize determination and hard work, to acknowledge achievement. We are thankful for those who gave of themselves to bring our students to this place, to this moment. We are mindful this is a commencement, an ending that is likewise a beginning. Source of goodness, as we begin, be with us now, we pray. Amen.
Please be seated. I'd like to take a moment to recognize the members of our platform party, which consists of our speaker and honorary degree recipient, whom you'll meet in a few moments, university administrators, deans, and representatives of the university and the School of Medicine. It's now my honor to introduce Dr. John L. Leahy, president of Quinnipiac University, who will bring you greetings on behalf of the university community.
Thank you. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to all of you on this wonderful day of joy and celebration. To our first ever Frank H. Neder, MD, School of Medicine graduates, I want to extend my heartiest congratulations. You should all feel justifiably proud of your accomplishments and most deserving of the degrees that will be conferred upon you today. This year's inaugural graduating class has had exceptional performance in the classroom and in your various clinical experiences. In addition, all of you have secured prestigious U.S. residencies in some of the very best academic medical centers in the country, including Johns Hopkins, Brown, Dartmouth, Duke. 4 of you will be doing your residencies at Yale Medicine and the Yale New Haven Health System. As both president of Quinnipiac University and long-serving board member at Yale New Haven Hospital and the Yale New Haven Health System, words alone cannot express how incredibly proud I am of your accomplishments. As our very first graduating class from the Frank H. Neder, MD, School of Medicine, you have certainly set a very high standard for all future classes. On a personal level, I also want to express my deep appreciation to Barbara Neder and her late husband, Edward Neder, for their generous support and guidance in helping to make this School of Medicine a reality. Thanks to Edward and Barbara Neder, while we may be the country's newest medical school, we are already nationally and indeed internationally recognized for being named for Edward Neder's first cousin, Dr. Frank Neder, medicine's most well-known and influential medical educator. We will honor Barbara Neder later in the program, but I would at this time ask her to please stand so all of us, in particular our first graduating class, can thank her for this generosity on the part of her and her late husband, Edward. Barbara. I also want to extend congratulations and thanks to our provost, Mark Thompson, to our dean, Bruce Keppen, and all the faculty and staff at the Neder School of Medicine for their hard work and leadership over many years leading up to today's commencement. In the final analysis, though, a medical school, like any other school, will be judged best by its graduates. And so, members of the class of 2017, we are depending on you to make the best use possible of the education you had received at the Frank H. Neder, MD, School of Medicine. As the very first graduating class, you have already left an historic and significant mark on our School of Medicine. And I have no doubt that you will leave an even greater mark on the world of medicine that awaits you. Again, my congratulations and best wishes to each and every one of you.
It's now my privilege to turn the program over to Dr. Bruce Keppen, Dean of the School of Medicine.
Good afternoon and happy Mother's Day to all of the mothers who are here with us today. Welcome. On behalf of the School of Medicine, I would like to welcome the members of the class of 2017, their families and friends, and our many special guests and representatives from our clinical partners. I would be remiss if I did not also acknowledge the faculty and staff who are here and who have done so much to get us to this special day. I would like to especially acknowledge and thank the returning founding faculty and staff. While you have moved on, your efforts in the early days of the school were critically important for our success. Thank you for coming today, and please stand and be recognized. I would first like to address the families and friends of the class of 2017. You have much to be proud of today. Your graduate is special to you, and they are all certainly special to us. Thank you for sharing them with us for these past 4 years. I trust that in your eyes, we have treated them well. If you have been financially supporting your graduate, I am pleased to say those days are now over. Starting next month, they start earning money. Now to the class of 2017, and I hope I can get through this. It seems like only yesterday that we were in this arena for your white coat ceremony. It truly has been an amazing 4 years. As I reflect back on our time together, it's hard for me to put into words what you mean to me and to the school. You are indeed special and will always be so. You took a chance by coming to a new medical school. You even decided to come when our magnificent Center for Medicine, Nursing, and Health Sciences was under construction. You only had architectural renderings of what would become your medical school. Over your time with us, you helped to build our culture, and importantly, helped the school obtain full accreditation, not a trivial accomplishment. You had no upper-class students to help you, but you have served as models and mentors for the classes that have followed you. You reached out to the community and devoted countless hours of service to its members, many of whom were medically underserved. The student-run Bobcat Clinic you helped establish, and which provides much-needed health education and health screening for the uninsured in the Bridgeport area, is a lasting testament to your compassion and altruism. You also distinguished yourself through your capstone projects, and if this wasn't enough, you topped it off by hitting it out of the park for your residency placements. I could go on, but I know you are anxiously awaiting the conferral of your degree. As you leave the Neder School, I know that I speak on behalf of all the faculty and staff that we wish you only the very best in your careers. I know you will make us proud because you have already done so. Please come back and come back often to see how the seeds you have planted have grown. And always remember that you are the best inaugural class the Frank H. Neder, MD, School of Medicine will ever have. I want to leave you with one final thought. If you don't get the New Haven Register, you missed a fantastic article with the headline, "We All Made It Together," and it's about you and your graduation today. We are here today because of the vision and support of the University Board of Trustees, President Leahy and his senior leadership team. We are here today because the entire Quinnipiac University community came together and supported us during our development. We are here today because the faculty and staff that are part of the School of Medicine were here to do the hard work that needed to be done. And we're here today because of all of you. We are indeed, we all made it together. Congratulations and best wishes. It is now my privilege to introduce Carissa DeNobili, President of the Class of 2017.
Hello. My fellow students, faculty members, staff, family, and friends. First of all, welcome. I'd like to start with a story. As I prepared for my residency interviews this past fall, like all of those in my position, I was faced with the task of listing my accomplishments. So I did. And as I sat in my residency interviews, I was asked about these accomplishments, what they meant to me, why I was proud of them. And as I answered these questions, I soon noticed a pattern. In speaking about my accomplishments, there was a shift in the pronoun. The I became we. I realized during these interviews that my accomplishments over the past 4 years were not my own. They were ours. They belonged to all of us. And even when an accomplishment or task was truly performed by an individual, it was not without the help or encouragement of a classmate. Whether through a Facebook comment, a hug in the hallway, or a ride to the airport, we provided helping hands for each other. We provided couches to crash on, brought coffee to study rooms, and dragged each other away from the computers for much-needed nights off. We helped each other in ways only medical students knew how, and we helped each other in ways only the first class knew how. And that was it. We are the first class. We share the bond of being medical students, and with that comes the understanding of what it means to study for board exams, to hold a scalpel for the first time, to see a patient be born, and to see a patient die. But we also share the bond of being the first class at Neder. Together, we learn to be pioneers. We put our hearts and our heads together to form what it means to be a student at this school. We mastered some less enjoyable things, like the art of giving feedback, a lot of feedback, but we acquired skills that we will carry with us to great places. We became collaborators and facilitators of change. We came, we built, and today we leave Neder a better place than when we arrived. While I refer to we as us students, the charter class family is composed not only students, but also of wonderful faculty and staff. Some of the best memories made here during our first year were when it was just us and the faculty in the big new medical school building. They were the support system that allowed our accomplishments to blossom from ideas to goals to projects and to reality. They became our mentors and our friends. They listened to our many, many concerns and worked with us to make our academic experience what we wanted it to be. From their open doors on the 3rd floor to the time they took out of clinical practice to make our experience better, they joined forces with us to build a legacy. Of course, it is impossible to speak of accomplishments without honoring those who have accompanied us on this journey. Family and friends have loved and supported us along whatever path each of us has taken to come sit here today. They have forgiven us for all of the times we couldn't be there because of an exam, and they have forgiven us in advance for all of the days that we will take an extra call, stay late, or sacrifice personal time for the good of a patient. They have provided the support we needed to now be able to call ourselves doctors. To all the family and friends, you also helped build Neder. So, although during my residency interviews I did try to focus on myself, when I speak about my medical school experience, it is generally with the words we or us. As I reflect on my experience at Neder, I tend not to think about the long hours studying. I think about the smiles, the laughter, and what we accomplished here. We did this, and I am so incredibly proud of us. Thank you.
Thank you, Carissa. I would now ask Dr. Robert Bona, Professor of Medical Sciences, to come forward for the awarding of an honorary degree to Barbara Neder.
Barbara Neder, today we yet recognize you for your many contributions to our community, to the advancement of cancer research, to the performing arts, and to Quinnipiac University. Through your generosity and that of your late husband, Edward, the Frank H. Neder, MD, School of Medicine at Quinnipiac was named in honor of Edward's first cousin, the famed medical illustrator. A renowned philanthropist, You are the co-founder and honorary chairperson of the Alliance for Cancer Gene Therapy, the only public charity awarding grants solely to scientists researching gene therapy's potential as a cure and treatment method for cancer. In 2014, you received the American Society of Gene and Cell Therapy Distinguished Service Award on behalf of the Alliance. This award recognizes an organization that has consistently fostered and enhanced the field of genetic and cellular therapy. That same year, you established the Barbara and Edward Neder Associate Professorship in Cancer Gene Therapy at the University of Pennsylvania's Abramson Cancer Center. You have worked as a psychotherapist and counselor in New York and Connecticut for many years and are the recipient of numerous awards, including the Spirit of Greenwich Award from the YWCA, the Connecticut Council of Philanthropy John F. Flyer Award, the prestigious Louise Grassafi Community Health Award, and the Ray of Hope Award from the Center of Hope at Family Centers. In appreciation of your leadership in the battle against cancer, your commitment to medical education at Quinnipiac University, and your numerous philanthropic endeavors, Quinnipiac University is pleased to present you with an honorary degree of Doctor of Humane Letters this 14th day of May, 2017. Congratulations.
By the power vested in me by the Board of Trustees, I hereby confer upon you, Barbara, the degree of Doctor of Humane Letters, honoris causa, with all the rights and privileges pertaining thereto. Congratulations, Barbara.
I would now ask Dr. Alan Atsuki, Provost Thompson, and President Leahy to come forward along with Dr. Jonathan Lapook for the awarding of an honorary degree to Dr. Lapook.
Dr. Jonathan Lapook, as Chief Medical Correspondent for CBS News, we rely upon you to interpret the latest health news for us and to shine a spotlight on significant health stories making headlines across the world. In your role as a professor of medicine at New York University School of Medicine and Mebane Professor of Gastroenterology at NYU Langone Medical Center, you have advocated the integration of media and the arts into the medical school curriculum to enhance interaction between health professionals and patients. You founded and served as executive director of the NYU Langone Empathy Project, which seeks to promote a culture of empathy in medicine, and you've also done extensive work working in the field of medical computing. From informative broadcasts about the Ebola and Zika virus outbreaks to reporting from Haiti after the 2010 earthquake, you have contributed more than 800 reports in your more than 10 years with CBS, garnering 2 Emmys, 2 Edward R. Murrow Awards, and a New York Press Club Award. In March 2016, you reported for 60 Minutes in a piece called Aid in Dying, a controversial practice in which terminally ill patients take a lethal dose of medication prescribed by a physician. And recently, you reported on the promising field of immunotherapy. In recognition of your distinguished medical career and your dedication to making the field of medicine understandable and thought-provoking, not only to your students, but to your patients and the public, Quinnipiac University is pleased to present you with the honorary degree of Doctor of Humane Letters this 14th day of May, 2017.
By the power vested in me by the Board of Trustees, I hereby confer upon you the degree of Doctor of Humane Letters, honoris causa, with all the rights and privileges pertaining thereto. Congratulations.
It is now my privilege to introduce Quinnipiac's newest alumnus, Dr. Jonathan Lapook.
Hello, very first graduating medical school class of Quinnipiac University's Frank H. Neder, MD, School of Medicine. Woohoo! I'm getting emotional. This is the first time I've ever stepped on this campus, so you are already doing it. I'm so honored to be here today giving the inaugural commencement address, and I want to thank President John Leahy, Dean Bruce Keppen, and Don Weinbach for inviting me, and I congratulate them, Provost Mark Thompson, the other members of the platform party, and all of you for reaching this historic milestone. I also have to give a shout out to my 98-year-old father, Dr. Sidney Lapook, who's a veteran of World War II and the Battle of the Bulge. I thought you might want me to talk about what I've learned from blending medicine and journalism. If I'm wrong, I'm sure I'll find out soon enough from today's Quinnipiac graduation exit poll. I work in two worlds. 37 years ago, I graduated from medical school. 11 years ago, I started as a correspondent for CBS News. But I still continue to love medicine, and I still see patients. I want to make sure you leave here today with at least one piece of advice that will help make you a better physician, will set you apart from the pack, no matter what specialty you enter. I'll tell you one story from each world, then leave you with a single piece of practical advice that I've learned from doing both jobs. Since the Hippocratic Oath outranks the Nielsen ratings, I'll start with medicine. At this moment, you are about to become a doctor. When I was in your shoes, I remember thinking that every test, every paper, every minute of studying since kindergarten had led to this one enormous achievement, a medical degree. So breathe it in. But you are not doctors yet. Breathe that in too. Remember what it can feel like to be a patient, the mixture of emotions, from helplessness to embarrassment to fear. I know you've been studying for years to learn the science of medicine, but today I'm also asking you to consider the art of healing. Don't let all those facts and figures crowd out your ability to connect with your patients. But how in the world do you do that, especially during your internship and residency, when you'll be multitasking, tired, and just trying to keep your head above water? It starts with a decision about the emotional wall we all build between ourselves and our patients. Constructing it is tricky. You don't want to make it too thin and porous because that can be emotionally devastating. But you don't want to make it too thick and impervious because then you miss out on all the good stuff, the precious moments when you connect with a patient as a person. I treasure the time an elderly patient showed up for an office visit on a beautiful spring day, and I wheeled her over to the Central Park Zoo to watch the sea lions. That was her visit. No medicine I have ever prescribed has had a more powerful therapeutic response. Everybody has to find a comfort level. For me, erring on the side of too empathetic is the way to go. Patients pick up on it, and if they feel you really care, they're more likely to open up to you. When I was a third-year medical student rotating through psychiatry, I saw an 8-year-old girl referred by the school psychologist. My preceptor and I met her in clinic once a week, but we couldn't figure out what was going on. For some reason, during the last visit of my rotation, I asked her mother, a single mom, I can still see her smile, what she would do when her daughter, the youngest of 3, grew up and left home. She said, "Oh, I'll jump that bridge when I come to it." The words were almost around the corner. In fact, my preceptor went right on to the next question when I interrupted him and said, "You know, you just said, 'I'll jump that bridge when I come to it,' and the expression is, 'I'll cross that bridge when I come to it.' Are you upset about the thought of one day being alone?" Her smile evaporated and she started crying. She was not only depressed, which helped explain what was bothering her 8-year-old daughter, but she was suicidal. And we immediately arranged for treatment. That moment was simultaneously the most exhilarating and the most terrifying moment of medical school. What if I had missed it? What if we had just gone on to the next question? What had I already missed with other patients? And what was I going to miss in the future? Here's the point. Here's a piece of advice that will set you apart. When we're watching a movie and an important moment is about to happen, how do we know? Because there's a close-up and the music changes. Well, in life, there's no close-up and there's no change of music. You have to play the soundtrack in your own head. You have to control the zoom button yourself. You must catch that moment when the patient, consciously or unconsciously, tells you what's the matter. You need to get them to open up to you as one human being to another. And they will not do that unless they know they are talking to a human being. Now, part 2. Journalism and medicine go well together. There's a lot of overlap between what I do as a journalist and what I do and what you will do as a physician. Communicate. It doesn't matter if it's to one person or to millions. Our job is to explain things clearly and provide perspective based on the most reliable information available. It's easy to slip into med speak, but believe me, not everybody knows what a cohort is or a subset. And instead of contraindicated, how about just saying, not a good idea? These days, there's a lot to explain, and it's tough to do that if you only have 15 or 20 minutes with a patient. The key is taking complex topics and presenting them in simple, accessible terms. So communicating clearly and succinctly is an important skill. Work on it. Your patients will look to you for guidance concerning what they should and should not worry about, and that's where staying up to date will be crucial. I did 66 segments about Ebola. We counted. And the message was the same every time. Ebola was a huge problem in West Africa, but the odds of it spreading widely in the United States were extremely low. I'm more concerned about Zika and have been saying that on air over and over for a year, including in a 60 Minutes piece last fall. It's the first mosquito-borne virus ever known to cause a birth defect, including microcephaly, and the first mosquito-borne virus to be sexually transmitted. I've covered this story in Brazil, Puerto Rico, and 2 weeks ago in South Texas. With a vaccine not expected until next year at the earliest, it seems inevitable the virus will spread further in the United States, especially to mosquitoes along the Gulf Coast. But people are still not aware enough about the risks and about how to protect themselves. This is a perfect example of where I can help by talking to a large audience, and you can help by talking to your patients and friends. And believe me, they will be asking you about this. Should I take a vacation there? What do you think? What are the risks? And with especially complicated issues like Zika, point them to reliable online information, like the CDC website. Being a filter for the internet for them is a great piece of value, something that you can really do to help steer them to the right information. It's like drinking from a fire hydrant when they're trying to find medical information on the internet. You can really help them with this. My experience in journalism has helped me see how we as doctors can make a difference beyond what we might imagine. 3 months after the terrible 2010 earthquake, I was in Port-de-Paix in northern Haiti, the poorest part of the poorest country in the Western Hemisphere. I was in a one-room combination delivery room and neonatal ICU. To my right was a premature baby boy clinging to life with the help of the one portable oxygen machine on hand. One. That's all they had. To my left was a woman in labor. Suddenly, the unborn's baby pulse dropped. After a few minutes, the oxygen machine was wheeled from the premature baby to the woman in labor, who delivered a healthy child. The premature baby died. In the United States, that baby would have had more than a 90% chance of survival. You certainly don't have to go to Haiti to see healthcare inequity. You find it throughout the world and across the United States. Disparities in outcomes based on factors like race, ethnicity, and socioeconomic status. I won't quote facts and figures, you've undoubtedly seen them already, but I'd like to convince you that you can make a difference here. You can. You have that power. And it doesn't have to be on a grand policy level scale, although that would be nice. You don't have to be Dr. Paul Farmer, a co-founder of Partners in Health, who helped build a modern hospital in central Haiti that opened 2 years after the earthquake. Oxygen outlets in the walls by every bed for the next premature baby. So no Sophie's Choice for the next premature baby. You can make a difference one person at a time in your own community. But of course, we do need large-scale public health and policy solutions to healthcare inequity. Please keep your eyes open so you recognize it, whether in your practice or in some far-off place. Think about what you can do to help and triage this as stat. And now this, a single piece of advice based on what I've learned in both fields as a physician and a journalist. Be comfortable with uncertainty. If you've been practicing medicine for 5 years and you think you have all the answers, you're in the wrong profession. Patients get understandably frustrated when one year we say one thing and the next year it appears we're saying the exact opposite, whether it's about postmenopausal hormone replacement, mammography, PSA screening, or whatever. But you shouldn't be frustrated. Medicine has always been about trying to think logically based on the best available data. And thank goodness that data changes. For thousands of years, holes were drilled into the skulls of patients to release evil spirits, and people were bled to help restore the correct balance of bodily humors. What are we doing now that doctors 100 years from now will look back at and think, can you believe they used to do that? Antibiotics for infections? Didn't they know about drilling a hole into the skull to release the evil spirits? Don't laugh, we're using leeches again, right? Not for bloodletting, but to help improve microcirculation and wound healing. So it goes around, comes around. Sometimes. All this should actually take the pressure off. You may be thinking, do I really know enough to be a doctor? I certainly had that question. Well, you do know enough, and there will be supervision. Your colleagues and teachers are there to help. And you have the foundation, a knowledge of anatomy, pathophysiology, all the basics. After that, no matter how many facts you've memorized, it's still only a fraction of all medical knowledge. So relax. Practicing medicine is open book. You have a ton of electronic medical information at your fingertips, and you're going to have the fun of learning something new every single day. And you're allowed to say, I don't know. An especially good idea when you don't know. What's going to distinguish you as true healers is the way you embrace humility, compassion, and empathy. Turn away from the computer screen and look your patient straight in the eyes. Understand the extraordinary importance of listening and realize that even when you don't have the answer for a patient in need, you can still help with a sympathetic ear, a reassuring touch of the hand, and by sticking by them through sickness and health. Congratulations.
Thank you, Dr. Lapook, for those inspiring words. I would now ask Dr. William Paulson, Director of the school's Anesthesiologist Assistant Program, to come forward and introduce the candidates for the degree of Master of Medical Science.
Will the candidates for the degree of Master of Medical Science and Anesthesiologist Assistant please approach the stage? Marshals, please direct the candidates to the platform. Janal Kumar. Carolina Eva Lipinska. Mr. President, I have the honor to present from the Frank H. Neder, MD, School of Medicine, candidates for the degree of the Master of Medical Science and Anesthesiologist Assistant.
By the power vested in me by the Board of Trustees, I hereby confer upon both of you the degree of Master of Medical Science, Anesthesiologist Assistant, with all the rights and privileges pertaining thereto. Congratulations to both of you.
I would now ask Dr. Kim Pham, the school's Dean of Students, to come forward to introduce the candidates for the degree of Doctor of Medicine.
Dr. Robert Bona and Dr. Todd Cassis will come forward now to perform the hooding. Marshals, please direct the candidates for the Doctor of Medicine degree to the platform. Aditi Abraham. She will be hooded by her mother, Dr. Susan Abraham. Matthew Abrashamian. Adiolu Adeboye. Adiolo will be hooded by his brother, Dr. Adedayo Adeboye. Elvira Alakvelieva. Eva Amenta, recognized for excellent performance in the clinical care clerkship. Thomas Azizat. Ryan Barnacle. William Berger. Danielle Batalico. Nicole Bergwart. Nicole will be hooded by her father-in-law, Dr. Kent Bergwart. Benjamin Kramer, recipient, recognized for excellent performance in emergency medicine clerkship. Thank you. Allison Cunningham. Galen DiDomizio. Carissa DeNobili, recognized for excellent performance in the obstetrics and gynecology clerkship. Misty Embry. Angela Faruqi. Angela will be hooded by her husband, Dr. Zabi Wardak. James Frazier. Howard Furlong. Justin Garriou. Nicole Gordon. Recognized for excellent performance in family medicine clerkship, the Connecticut Academy of Family Physicians Award of Excellence. Also, recipient of the Dean's Leadership Award. The Dean's Leadership Award recognizes an individual who demonstrates outstanding leadership to their class and the school. Cara Gardino. Abby Gural. Cameron Harrison. Imad Harsouni. Kumba Hines. Recognized for excellent performance in family medicine clerkship, the Connecticut Academy of Family Physicians Schumann Award. John Houston. Recognized for excellent performance in internal medicine clerkship, also recipient of the Connecticut Chapter American College of Physicians Recognition Award. Clint Ingersoll. Sharmila Jai Kumar. Philip Jordan. Jean Kim. Edward Nahoki Kobayashi, recipient of the Leonard Toe Humanism in Medicine Award. The purpose of the Leonard Toe Humanism in Medicine Award, presented by the Arnold P. Gold Foundation, is to recognize the value of humanism in the delivery of care to patients and their families. Samantha Lamando. Sarah Mahmood. Christina Malazzi. Christina will be hooded by her father, Dr. Angelo Malazzi. Karen Aram Mary Masada. Karen will be hooded by her uncle, Dr. Thierry Anani. Jarrett Masson. Christopher Morgan. Marcus Neefsey. Caitlin Norman. Emmanuel Nwachukwu. Emmanuel will be hooded by his wife, Dr. Ashley Parker. Jeffrey O'Neill. Timothy O'Rourke. Recognized for excellent performance in surgery clerkship, the Connecticut chapter of the American College of Surgeons. Kevin Kuo.
United States Public Health Service 2017 Excellence in Public Health Award from the Physicians Professional Advisory Committee of the U.S. Public Health Service in recognition of demonstrated commitment to public health and public health practice.
Thank you, Commander Sandra Bender. Georgina Pappas. Paige Peterson. Devin Pizer. Casey Joseph Rosenthal. Alberto Russell. Victoria Ryan. Nakyung Christina Ryu. Lindsay Shirka. Navjot Sobti. Tamar Stokelman. Venkat Subramaniam. Caitlin Smith Tilburg. Recognized for excellent performance in the psychiatry clerkship. Jennifer Umeugo. Erin White. And Zaya Zed.
Will the candidates please rise? Mr. President, I have the honor to present from the Frank H. Neder, MD, School of Medicine, candidates for the degree of Doctor of Medicine.
By the power vested in me by the Board of Trustees, I hereby confer upon you the degree of Doctor of Medicine with all the rights and privileges pertaining thereto. Congratulations to all of you.
It is now my pleasure to introduce Dr. Christine Van Cott, Assistant Professor of Surgery and Surgery Clerkship Director, to deliver remarks on behalf of the faculty of the School of Medicine.
Thank you, Dean Keppen, President Leahy, Board of Trustees, and the Neder family. And to the students, thank you, for it is both a pleasure and an honor to address you, the historic inaugural graduating class of the Frank H. Neder MD School of Medicine. Sorry. Today marks the start of a new chapter in your lives, as today you are a doctor. Being a doctor, a physician, isn't like any other career because, frankly, it is not your career, it is not your job, it is not your profession, it is now and forever will be your identity. As I look out into the audience today, beyond our graduates, I see the start of building that identity. I see family and loved ones who helped you be hardworking, determined, independent, compassionate, and empathetic people. If you can close your eyes and think back to 4+ years ago, we asked you on your applications where you envisioned yourself at the end of your training and what was shaping that vision. You wanted to change the world, diagnose the undiagnosed, find a solution to the healthcare crisis, and take care of the underserved. These, however, are not your identity. These are goals and accomplishments. You are not defined by those successes. Rather, your identity is defined by how you conduct yourself along the way. This is now how you will be judged by your patients, their families, and I hope yourself. Being a doctor is hard. Being a good doctor is even harder. And being a great doctor, well, some days it feels impossible. It takes everything you are and everything you have. It means doing the right thing. I have seen all of you do the right thing. I have seen all of you be great doctors. You have respectfully challenged a care paradigm and presented evidence-based literature to provide your patient better care. You have checked, rechecked, and checked again on your patient's physical exam to be sure they were not declining. You have looked around a room to realize that no one could intubate a patient losing their airway, so you did it. You have sat with a young mother during childbirth whose husband was serving in the military overseas. I have literally watched you run to the blood bank to retrieve blood product to save someone's life. You have provided vaccinations to children at risk on your days off. I have watched you hold the hand of a dying patient because you know that no one should die alone. None of this was easy. It meant working more hours in 1 week than most individuals work in 2. It meant missing holidays and celebrations with your family and friends. It meant eating warm, sticky granola bars from your pocket as dinner more times than you would like to admit. It meant actually feeling your heart break for another human being. None of this was easy, but it was right. Your loved ones, especially your parents and grandparents, will forever introduce you as their son, daughter, grandchild, the doctor. To the postman, to the store clerk, their friends. They do this first because they are so very proud of you. But even without knowing, they introduce you as a doctor because it implies something. It implies that you do the right thing. As you move on to your residencies, I challenge you to continue to do the right thing. And now that you've each determined your professional course, doing the right thing will take different shapes for each of you. For the scientists among you who may never clinically interact with a patient, don't stop asking questions, don't stop pushing science to the limit, and keep having conversations about funding and research. For the pediatricians, always speak for those that can't speak for themselves and protect those that cannot protect themselves, no matter how uncomfortable it makes you feel. For the medical doctor, embrace your patients religiously, culturally, socially, without judgment, prejudice, or preconception to make the physician-patient relationship better than it is today. For the surgeons, never stop learning new skills. Use those skills only for good, and remember that knowing when not to operate is more important than when to operate. For the obstetrician gynecologists, always be a champion of women. Don't yield to the whims of popularity, but stay true to your mission for care for mother and baby. And for the psychiatrists, always find value in your patients. Recognize their struggle in society, and in return, work for their protection and success. As your life starts a new chapter, remember that you will touch so very many other lives, and you will become a part of their story. I hope that as your patients write those stories, you will be the superhero, white coat trailing behind, stethoscope or scalpel in gloved hand, with a Quinnipiac t-shirt underneath, doing the right thing. Do not define yourself by life and death, but measure yourself by your impact, the example you set, the time you spend, and what you give of yourself to your patients. Today, you are a doctor. It is not just what you do, but who you are. In the words of Voltaire, men who are occupied in the restoration of health to other men by the joint exertion of skill and humanity are above all the great of the earth. They even partake of divinity, since to preserve and renew is almost as noble as to create. We, the faculty, could not be more proud of each and every one of you, our historic first class. So go forth, be great doctors, and do the right thing. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Van Cott. I would now like to introduce Dr. Galen DiDemizio, who will give remarks on behalf of the class.
Thank you, Dean Keppen. The class of 2017, faculty and staff of the Frank H. Neder School of Medicine, friends and family members, and in particular, happy Mother's Day to all the moms out there, including my mom, who had no idea I was going to be up here this afternoon. So the more things change, the more things stay the same. We've all heard this saying before, but in some ways, there isn't a more appropriate time to repeat this well-known aphorism than today. For right now, in our country, we sit in the midst of a contentious battle, as some of us desire to return to an idyllic age of yesteryear, while others strive to push forward in new uncharted directions. As a consequence, many laws and regulations introduced in the past few years are now likely to be modified or outright reversed, including ones that broadly impacted the delivery of healthcare in our country. But this dance, taking one step forward and a second step back, is not limited to the loud and exhaustively discussed world of American politics. I mean, the highest grossing movie of 2017 to date is essentially a shot-for-shot remake of an animated film that came out in 1991, before some of my colleagues had even learned to walk. I'm speaking to you, Tommy. Additionally, next month, our class will join the multitude of new interns who will no longer be restricted by the same work-hour regulations that have dictated the past generation of residents. Only a few years ago, the governing body of residency programs decided that stricter regulations were important for resident wellness to prevent overworked interns from making significant errors. Now, these regulations have been somewhat loosened, as a growing body of physicians recognize the deficits of shorter shifts on the overall outcomes of their patients. And so it goes again, one step ahead, one step reverse. Importantly, my goal today is neither to judge nor criticize. Instead, I simply want to recognize that as we have accepted our diplomas, The class of 2017 enters the medical field during a time that can feel profoundly unsteady. Despite the technical advancements in this era of medicine, we emerge today as physicians in an age where our country's leaders do not always seem to know what they hope to accomplish or what path we should take. Philosophically, we appear to be in an age of where do we go from here? But here's the beautiful thing. For 4 years, we have been told that we are the future of medicine, that we can change the world, that someday we will impact the lives of those around us for the better. And to that, I resound an emphatic yes. What is more, that day that we've heard so much about is today, May 14th, 2017. In the face of our country's current trials, I can confidently and clearly recognize that the graduates in this room will help make decisions that will guide us through some of our country's existential insecurities. I don't necessarily mean that we will draft healthcare policy or take public office, although I wouldn't put it past some of these gifted and driven individuals to accomplish such feats. I mean that without a doubt, my colleagues sitting here today will provide the level-headedness, the hard work, the patience, and above all, the deep, boundless compassion to treat their patients, to fix their maladies, to resect their tumors, and to prevent the risk of future disease, regardless of what the future may bring. Well, those are some very nice words, Galen, you might be muttering in your chairs. But as any good physician, you're probably thinking, what evidence do you have to back up your lofty claims? I'm so glad you asked. I accumulated evidence by watching Katie Norman stay long after her shift on our psychiatry rotation to parse through years of documentation to better understand her patients for the next day, despite knowing that those patients might be discharged by then. More data arrived when I heard how Navjot Sobti took a U-turn while headed home after a long day in her surgery rotation to visit a patient that she had promised she would spend time with every day despite her exhaustion. I found more evidence by observing Danielle Batalico kindly and patiently coach her underclassmen through their own demanding surgical rotation, where I subsequently discerned the respect and gratitude those students had for someone who took the time to guide them through their challenging clerkship experience. I discovered even more data in the pride I felt when Adeolu Adeboye spoke to me about prioritizing a surgical residency that valued collaboration over competition, even if it meant potentially sacrificing the benefits of a more prestigious program. And lastly, I encountered a windfall of evidence through the friendships I fostered with Venkat Subramaniam and Howard Furlong, who both reached out to me our second year when they recognized that I was profoundly struggling under the weight of our many scholastic obligations to simply offer their continual support. I have 50 plus more anecdotes to go along with these pieces of datum, and for good reason. I'm proud to call myself a colleague of these remarkable women and men because I have witnessed the scientific mastery, the intricate clinical decision-making, and chiefly the resounding humanism that this very first class of Neder graduates brought to their studies and now bring to their vocation. Furthermore, while we as Neder graduates should take pride in this monumental day in our personal and professional development, we need to also recognize that we owe a debt of gratitude to the varied forces that have prepared us for today and beyond. In particular, with every passing day, I have a deeper appreciation for the Neder faculty that have taught us, challenged us, and presented us the critical and still radical notion that the entire patient will always come foremost. In fact, on our very first lecture, one of our founding faculty members, who has since become a mentor and friend to many of us, and who has taught me to remember that above all, bats are bad, presented on the father of the biopsychosocial model, George Engel, where he included this following passage. The student in transition from the role of a biological scientist to that of a clinician must recognize that the development of clinical competence is not dependent exclusively upon his knowledge of the biological principles. He must also have insight into the human experience of being a patient and an understanding of the psychological factors determining how the patient and physician relate to each other. For 4 years now, the class of 2017 has felt the weight of fostering a reputation for a brand new medical school while also enjoying the many benefits inherent in that role. As we move on to the next phase of our respective journeys, let us not forget the responsibility that has been bestowed upon us by our education at an institution that it was erected to, and I quote, be a model for educating diverse, patient-centered physicians who are partners and leaders in an interprofessional healthcare workforce, responsive to the healthcare needs in the communities that they serve. In summation, I do not know if, over the next few years, our country will enter into new conflicts, seal our borders, revoke just my health insurance, or if medical residents will be required to work 100-hour shifts upside down underwater. However, I do know that if the future of medicine is now in the hands of my friends and colleagues who sit beside me today, then our country will be a little kinder, a little smarter, a little surer, and a whole lot healthier because of it. For symmetry's sake, I leave you with one more well-recognized adage, this time from Margaret Mead. Never doubt that a small group of thoughtful, committed citizens can change the world. Indeed, it's the only thing that ever has. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Dr. DiDomizio. Dr. Lisa Coplet, Associate Dean for Faculty Development, will now lead the class in the Hippocratic Oath, the text of which is printed in your program. I would also invite any physicians in attendance to join the class in the oath.
I would like to ask all the physicians in the room to please stand for the Hippocratic Oath and repeat after me. I swear to fulfill, to the best of my ability and judgment, this covenant. I will respect the hard-won scientific gains of those physicians in whose steps I walk, and gladly share such knowledge that is mine with those who are to follow. I will apply for the benefit of the sick all measures that are required, avoiding those twin traps of overtreatment and therapeutic nihilism. I will remember that there is art to medicine as well as science, and that warmth, sympathy, and understanding may outweigh the surgeon's knife or the chemist's drug. I will not be ashamed to say I know not. Nor will I fail to call in my colleagues when the skills of another are needed for a patient's recovery. I will respect the privacy of my patients, for their problems are not disclosed to me that the world may know. Most especially must I tread with care in matters of life and death. If it is given to me to save a life, all thanks. But it may also be within my power to take a life. This awesome responsibility must be faced with great humbleness and awareness of my own frailty. Above all, I must not play at God. I will remember that I do not treat a fever chart or a cancerous growth, but a sick human being whose illness may affect the person's family and economic stability. My responsibility includes these related problems. If I am to care adequately for the sick. I will prevent disease wherever I can. For prevention is preferable to cure. I will remember that I remain a member of society with special obligations to all my fellow human beings. Those sound of mind and body as well as the infirm. If I do not violate this oath, may I enjoy life and art. Respected while I live and remembered with affection thereafter. May I always act so as to preserve the finest traditions of my calling. And may I long experience the joy of healing those who seek my help. Congratulations.
Before I reintroduce Reverend Jordan Lenahan, who will deliver the benediction, I have a few announcements. Only the platform party and faculty will recess out. After that, we ask the graduates to go to the area behind the stage for a class photo. Families and guests, we ask that you give your graduate a few minutes to have their photo taken before you meet up with them. We ask that you either remain at your seats or go directly to the reception at the Rocky Top Student Center next door while we accommodate a few moments for a class photo. Transportation to the Rocky Top Student Center for those needing assistance is available. Once outside, you will see signs on the left. Please stand. It is now my privilege to ask Reverend Jordan Lenahan, Catholic chaplain, to please come forward and deliver the benediction.
Again, I would invite you to bow your heads. Graduates, as you go forth today, may you know success and joy, love and laughter. May what you have learned here at Quinnipiac University allow you to advance medicine, transform lives, and heal our world. And in your practices, and in your professional lives, and in your personal lives, may you always be women and men of dignity, integrity, and character. And may God bless you. Amen.